The NFC West, when healthy, is viewed as the best division in the NFL. All 4 teams at the very least are playoff contenders, and there is a chance we see all of them in the postseason. But who will end up winning the NFC West? Well, that is what we are going to be discussing in today's video. Before we get started though, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed, as it really does help out the channel. Let's try to get this video to 8 likes. And also make sure to subscribe if you guys are new and enjoyed the content on here, so you do not miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and once we hit our goal, I am finally going to do a face reveal. But with that being said, let's get this video started, and the first team we're going to go over is the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals last season were sort of disappointing, because after starting out 6-3, they dropped 5 of their last 7 games. They already had a strong core with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins, along with a pretty solid receiving core leading the way on offense, plus Buda Baker, Chandler Jones, and Isaiah Simmons leading them on defense. However, it was clear they still needed to improve as a team, and they did just that. GM Steve Keim was pretty aggressive in the offseason, as well. They did lose guys like Hassan Reddick, Patrick Peterson, Dan Arnold, and Kenyon Drake. They made a lot of good additions as well. It started in free agency when they acquired AJ Green, JJ Watt, Malcolm Butler, James Conner, Matt Prater, and Rodney Hudson. So he was very aggressive in free agency. And in the draft, he also made some nice pickups, as he picked up the likes of Zaven Collins, Rondale Moore, and Tay Gowan. So this team, it's loaded. It's just loaded, alright? Like every single NFC West team, to be honest. But they have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, an improved offensive line, an alright run game, one of the best wide receiver cores in the league, led by arguably the best wideout in the NFL, and a really good front 7. My biggest question marks with this team is the coaching and the secondary. Now, Cliff Kingsbury by no means is the worst coach in the NFL, but I mean, there are some questions about him. I think he's solid, but as I said before, there's questions about him. He has to make the postseason with this team, alright? Or if he doesn't, then his head coaching, his job could come into question. Of course, barring injuries, but his job could really come into question if he does not make the postseason with this team. And along with that, his play calling was very sus at the end of the year, and it was a big part of why the Cardinals ended up collapsing. Not only that, but the secondary is also going to be a pretty big wild card. Malcolm Butler is a solid cornerback, and Tay Gowan, I think he was a pretty good pickup in the draft, but then again, he's still a rookie, and we don't know how good he's gonna be. I mean, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't target any, bigger cornerback. They didn't address the cornerback position as much as I thought they would, and I mean, the secondary, to put it simply, is just a wild card, so they just gotta hope that the secondary is at least passable. But if the secondary is at least passable, then they should be fine, and all I can say is that this team is much improved, and they will be scary heading into the 2021 NFL season, and they're just going to be great. That's all I really have to say for the Cardinals. But moving on, we got the Los Angeles Rams next. And the Rams, as we know, bounced back in 2020 with a 10-6 season and a playoff win against the division rival Seattle Seahawks. And as nice as that was, it was pretty clear they needed more consistent quarterback play if they wanted to take the next step as a contender. And Jared Goff, simply put, was just too inconsistent. So in the offseason, LA acquired Matthew Stafford from the Detroit Lions. The Rams already had a great team, and while they did lose guys like Troy Hill, John Johnson, Gerald Everett, Josh Reynolds, Malcolm Brown, and defensive coordinator Brandon Staley, yes, I mean, he was a pretty big loss. I mean, yeah, he was great for them. There's no denying how good they are as a team, alright? On offense, Matt's gonna have a lot of pass catchers. He has Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, tight end Tyler Higbee, who's very underrated and really solid. He's also got Van Jefferson, and along with that, he's going to have a great backfield in case he needs to hand the ball off. Cam Akers is bound to have a breakout season and was one of the best rookie running backs last year, and I mean, he was great in the playoffs. Darrell Henderson is also very solid, and I mean, we also got to mention that they got a very good defense. They got 2 of the best defensive players in the league in Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, plus other good supporting members like Leonard Floyd, Darius Williams, Jordan Fuller, and more. Matthew Stafford is a very good player. There is no denying it. He is extremely talented. He just had to deal with the terrible management in Detroit, and they just could not properly build a team around him and get him to the postseason consistently. LA has a much better team than what Detroit really ever gave him, and I think he's going to have a career season in 2021 with the Rams. We should also talk about their offseason additions outside of Matthew Stafford. In free agency, they didn't do a crap ton, but they did get Deshaun Jackson, which is pretty nice, and in the draft, they picked up the likes of Tutu Atwell, Bobby Brown, and Ernest Jones. This team is going to be amazing and not only has the potential to win the division, but maybe even win the Super Bowl. I don't really have a lot of question marks with this team, and I mean, I said this with the Cardinals, but the Rams are just a great team, like every NFC West team again. But yeah, the Rams, they are fantastic. Up next, we got the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers in 2019, they made the Super Bowl, and coming into 2020 had high expectations. However, injuries would just end up derailing their season, and they'd finish with a mere 6 wins. But we gotta take into account injuries just screwed up their season. However, this team is going to be getting back to full strength in 2021, and there is no doubt they should be able to make a run at the NFC West title. On offense, they're pretty solid as they got Raheem Mostert in the backfield, 2 good wide receivers in Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, arguably the best tight end in the NFL in George Kittle, a good offensive line, plus on defense, they're also loaded with Nick Bosa, Eric Armstead, Fred Warner, and Dee Ford leading the front 7, plus Jason Verrett, Jimmy Ward, and Emmanuel Mosley in the secondary. We should also mention they have one of the best coaches in the NFL in Kyle Shanahan, who is an X's and O's genius. They didn't do a whole lot in free agency. However, in the draft, they were able to pick up the likes of Trey Lance, Aaron Brooks, Trey Sermon, and Ambry Thomas. While I do believe they will be decent in 2021 at the very least, the big X factor for them, it is the quarterback play. We are not 100% sure who the 49ers quarterback will be, whether it's Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance, and Jimmy G, it's safe to say, has not been the franchise quarterback that people envisioned he'd be a couple of years ago. And while he has issues and by no means is great, he's still a very passable and, decent quarterback that can at least be a game manager for you. Trey Lance is the number 3 overall pick from this past year's draft, and he has a lot of upside. However, at the same time, he's really raw as a player and probably needs to sit on the bench a little bit more to learn the offensive system, and before he really just gets out onto the field. Personally, if I was San Francisco, I'd probably roll with Jimmy as the starter in 2021, unless he's so bad to the point where you gotta start Trey Lance. And all I can say is that as long as the quarterback play is decent, and as long as, whoever's at quarterback is at least a game manager, the 49ers can definitely get back into contention and could very well win the NFC West title. But now we got our final team, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, the Seahawks always have a pattern of looking like the favorites to win it all in the first 6 weeks before falling apart and losing in the second round of the playoffs. That's just been the story over the past few years. And even then, they still can win the NFC West, and in fact, are the reigning NFC West champions. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL, led by Russell Wilson, Chris Carson, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. And on defense, they did struggle a lot last season, but they did improve at the end. And there's no denying they got some talent with Jamal Adams, Bobby Wagner, Quandre Diggs, Carlos Dunlap, and Poona Ford. Now, Seattle started the offseason with a lot of drama, as Russell Wilson did express frustrations with not having a good offensive line, which sparked trade rumors. However, this bad offensive line, it's something that has really held back Seattle for a long time. And it was about damn time that they finally addressed it. They had a pretty good free agency in my opinion, and it was also really underrated. They addressed the offensive line by picking up Gabe Jackson, who is really good for the Raiders. They also picked up guys like Gerald Everett, Kerry Hyder, and Ahkello Witherspoon. They did lose Shaquille Griffin, but it was still a good free agency overall. The draft wasn't anything crazy, as they only had 3 draft picks, so they couldn't do a whole lot in the first place, but they were able to get Dwayne Eskridge, Trey Brown, and Stone Forsythe, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, or Forsyth, I'm not sure, okay? So that's pretty nice. Seattle is loaded, and this could finally be the year to win the Super Bowl, and in the process, maybe even win the NFC West. They have one of the best offenses in the NFL, as I said before, and that alone should keep them alive in most games. The big factors for this team is easily the offensive line and the defense. The offensive line, as I said before, has been an issue for years, but I do believe it will finally be passable at the very least, as Gabe Jackson, Dwayne Brown, and Damian Lewis form they're 3 very good players and should definitely make this offensive line at least decent. The defense, well, it finished strong last year, so there's, that's pretty good. And if they can continue that and maybe even improve, then they could have a top 10 to 15 unit and be at least average on that side of the ball. I think the front seven can be one of the best in the league, and they gotta hope the defensive coordinator isn't an absolute potato and the secondary is passable. But I do think both should be better in 2021, and if they are, they could definitely repeat as division champions. But with all those teams I laid out, who do I end up having winning the NFC West? I have to say, it was really tough, but I ended up choosing the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFC West. The offense, it should really improve with the addition of Matthew Stafford. He's just a better quarterback than Jared Goff, and we saw how good their offense was with Jared. So imagine how good it can be with Matthew Stafford. This could very well be a top 5 offense, and I personally think Matt will have a career year in LA, as I said before. Many people know how good he is, and I think that will be on full display in 2021. And the defense, again, it's still the best in the NFC West in my opinion. Yeah, they lost some pieces, but it's still a very, very good unit. The Cardinals, I think they are decent, but I, in my opinion, no offense to any Cardinals fans watching this, I think they are the weakest division in, weakest team in the division. Maybe it's the 49ers because, the quarterback play, but the Cardinals, I think they're decent. I'm just not sure if I just feel like they are the worst team in this division. That's mainly due to the fact that, every other team is just so good. And the secondary is also very concerning. The Seahawks, they're very good, but the defense could be a question mark, and especially the secondary, plus the offensive line. I think it will improve, but who knows? It could still be very bad. And the 49ers, I think they will get back to their winning ways, but I just don't know if they're as good as the Rams, and the quarterback situation, that could definitely hold them back. But yeah, with that being said, that'll end today's video. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. It truly means a lot to me. Of course, hit that like button if you enjoyed, as it really helps out the channel. Let's try to get 8 likes on this video. And if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe so you do not miss out on any new videos like this. Plus, we're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. And once we hit our goal, I'm finally going to do a face reveal. But yeah, with that being said, I'm out, you guys.